This morning, I skipped breakfast again and went to school. I had very little strength. I could barely move my legs. Nevertheless, I once again decided not to take the street where I had heard that strange voice. Another street ran alongside the forest. While walking, I looked up at the sky. Today, there was an unusual number of birds. They flew quarreling with each other. I wonder how they see us. From up there, maybe they understand more than we do, because they can see more at once: the forest, the village, the field, the sea, and all of us, where we are. Though, what do they care about us? Just like we don't care about them. But maybe it would be nice to raise to their level, to look at all of us from their point of view. At our cities, the village, nature. Better yet, to look straight from space. From that distance, everything happening here doesn't matter. They don't care about the economic crisis, about the village becoming deserted, about Sandria's death, Eric's, about me. Oh, a dog. It ran out right in front of me. Where did it come from? Its eyes were red. They were actually glowing. It barked at me like I was that greatest danger in its life. It started lunging at me and almost bit my hand. The hell? I started running. Strength appeared from who knows where. I turned into the forest. The trees stood close to one another, but I, like a fish in the sea, weaved between them and fled from the rabid dog. It had stopped chasing me long ago, but I couldn't stop anymore. Farther and farther into the forest, farther and farther from the village. Every time I wanted to stop, thoughts from the recent past came flooding in. My strength is running out. Erin's death. I kept running. My strength is running out. Erin's funeral. Sandria, Trevi. I kept running. My strength is running out. The people from the sea, the dead shark. I kept running. My strength is running out. Sandria's death. My strength is running out. Sandria's death. Sandria's death. Sandria's death. Death. I came to my senses. My head and shoulder were aching. I tried to stand, and realized I couldn't feel my left leg at all. As if it didn't exist and never had. Leaning against the tree, I managed to get up. Where am I? A forest? A very distant forest. I'd never been here before. I couldn't even remember where I'd run from or where I was supposed to go. I started feeling sick. Really sick. I don't even know what to call that state. Most likely it was panic. My vision blurred. My body wouldn't obey me. My chest was burning. I couldn't take a breath. Everything was shaking. Everything kept shaking. Somehow, I managed to regain control of my body, except for the leg. It was still terrifying. Goosebumps all over, cold sweat dripping. I walked in the direction that seemed most right. Having no better idea, I began to call for help. But instead of people, some wild animals dashed past me. With the last of my strength, I started to run wherever my eyes were pointing. But this time, I didn't have the endurance. I tripped and fell hard and lay there for some time. I looked around, still calling for help. But there was no one. Only the crows crying somewhere above. With tears in my eyes, I forced myself back into my feet. There was a big stick nearby, and I used it to keep walking. The tears wouldn't stop. I walked slowly, not knowing where to. I was scared, sad, so deeply sad. Where is everyone? Where's my home? Fuck fucking dog. Fucking dog. Shit. Police officers. What the hell are they doing in our village? When they can't even protect the residents from wild dogs. Useless bastards. I walked forward for a very long time, and nothing suggested there were people nearby. Hill after hill, tree after tree, bush after bush. The forest had no end. Maybe I should head toward the sea. But where is it? The sea. I should hear it, right? It sounds... I must be close to it, right? The forest is next to it, just like it is to the village. So where's it supposed to be? There? Or... no. It's definitely that way. To the west. Or is that west? How do you tell where west is in a forest? To hell with it. I'll go that way. That has to be west. The Swedes live in the west. How the hell does that help me? Swedes. I knew a few of them. By the way, Trivia looks a lot like a Swede. How did I even figure that out? Maybe those guys who live down at the bottom of the sea could at least send me a snow cloud? Yeah, share some snow. Show me where to go. Maybe I'll meet some Paragams? Paragams. They live in the forest, right? All that reading wasn't for nothing. Books really do save lives. Well, I don't know about the Swedes or the sea, but I finally found a path. I started crying again. Can you believe it? Like a child. But I was already exhausted by then. Walking with a stick and no feeling on one leg was incredibly hard. I picked a direction on the path at random. What difference did it make? It'll lead me somewhere anyway. Those crows. Why are they so loud today? Wait, that's it. When I ran into the forest, they were cawing right above that street. I needed to go where I hear their voices. That's where I'll find the town. The crows are getting louder, but the village is still nowhere in sight, and the path ends. And what the hell is that smell? Ravine. A large ravine. With my leg like this, I can't go around it easily. I had to take a longer detour, which wasn't easy either. It was deep and wide. At one spot, there was a fallen tree laying across it, but in my condition, I didn't dare walk over it. A little farther, something darted under my feet. I lost my balance and fell, tumbling into the ravine. I was too exhausted to even be angry anymore. For the first time, I actually felt hungry. So hungry, I was ready to chase that badger that knocked me down. I walked forward for a long time, trying to find a way out without climbing uphill with my leg. And the stench kept getting worse. What? What is that? Looks like seaweed. Here? In the forest? They're so strangely dark. I've never seen ones like that on the shore. And they stink. I could smell them even from that ravine. And still, how did they get here? Maybe it means the sea's close? Or some fisherman lives nearby? Either way, I feel like I'm going the right way. Even though I lost the trail again. And there's more of that seaweed. Here and there, as if the wind scattered it through the forest. I walked alongside it as if it were a path. It seemed like a good enough landmark, even if it smelled awful. But where was I going? The smell was way, way worse than this. Still, it didn't matter. I'd cling to any chance to get out of this forest. Hole. A large, wide hole dug into the ground in the middle of the forest on a small clearing. The seaweed brought me here, and the stench coming from it was the worst of all. I couldn't even describe the feeling to you. But what is a hole doing in the forest? Who dug it here? And why? Could it be just a dumping site? But I didn't see any garbage. Maybe it's a dumping ground for the seaweed? I have no idea. I need to look and see what's down there. Or maybe I should wait. Maybe someone's harvesting this seaweed from the sea and bringing it here. Interesting, but how long would I have to sit here? I approached the hole. The stench was so strong that it brought tears to my eyes. Again. Still, I managed to get close enough to the edge and look down into it. The other day, I read another story from that book. It was about 3 brothers. Their father was a strange man, but kind, talkative, sincere, and very handsome. And their mother was a Linejarf? A lake spirit who lived underwater. Oh. They fell in love back when the father was still young. In time, children appeared. They came out of the lake and went to live with him. Despite the father's beauty, they were still very different from people. When it came time to go to school, the villagers rejected them. They started throwing things, swearing, whispering behind their backs. It couldn't last forever. The father sent them back to their mother, to the lake, under the water. But even there, they didn't belong. The lake spirits were too different, and from people and from the brothers. Thus, there was no place for the brothers in this world. They left the lake, left their village, and set off to wander the world in search of others like them, or at least a place where they could be accepted. They wandered far and wide, to the south, to the north, the mountains, to the desert. The most handsome one, who most looked like his father, returned to the village. He didn't live long. The locals beat him to death and stuck his head on a stake. The one who most resembled the mother returned to her in the lake, but he didn't survive there either. The spirits killed him and fed him to their frogs. Only one brother remained, and he kept wandering. He wandered for a long time, saw many things, even spoke to a few people. Finding nothing, he made a decision. Having only memories of the village and the lake from his childhood, he dug out a huge lake, and on an island in the middle built himself a home. With human blood and lake beast blood in him, he walked between cities and lakes, returning with children from both places. In time, there were more and more of them, and so they dug the lake wider. More and more islands appeared. Each one was home to his descendants. Some looked more human, others looked like lake phantoms. And so was born a great lake country, inhabited by half humans, half demons. And they named this country... Oh. In the pit lay the body of a girl. Her arms and legs were twisted in strange, unnatural shapes. Her skin had a dark green hue, just like those creatures in the sea. Her eyes were open, vivid, and through them I recognized the body. There was no doubt, not the strange color of her skin, nor the shape of her limbs. Nothing could confuse me. I knew exactly who I was looking at, and that was terrifying. Even now, I don't want to remember it, or even write her name. Sandria. All the crows went silent at my scream. The wind began to howl. I fell to the ground and started crawling backward, away from the pit. When it became too awkward to move like that, I stood up and tried to run. But my leg reminded me it was still injured. I kept falling, struggling to stand. My head was chaos. My soul was chaos. This was the most emotional moment of my entire life. What did I just see? Who did I just see? Sandria? What the hell, Sandria? How could she be there? Where did she come from? She was dead. She was dead. It couldn't have been in my imagination. I couldn't have been my imagination. I could not have imagined that. I was already far from that pit. A lizard darted past my eyes. There was a stone under my hand. Grabbing it, I struck the lizard and hit it on the first try. Despite that, I kept biting it, or kept hitting it again and again, again and again. Nothing remained of it but blood and scraps of skin. I kept beating until a dented formed in the ground. My hand hurt. I couldn't hold the stone anymore. Hysteria washed over me. Clutching my head, I rolled across the ground, screaming uncontrollably. No crows, no birds of any kind sang in the air anymore. Only my screams could be heard. Eventually, my strength ran out. I lay on the grass, breathing deeply. Physically, I couldn't move or scream anymore, but inside I was being torn apart. A few meters away, I noticed a stick. When my strength returned, I crawled to it and, leaning on it, managed to stand. My heart was still pounding, as if it was about to leap out of my chest. I had to get out of the forest. That thought came to me. I couldn't think of anything else. With the help of the stick, I walked away from that pit as fast as I could. Sandria. I can't believe it. I can't believe my eyes. How? How did this happen? It was definitely her. I couldn't have mistaken it for anyone else. Who brought her here? Or did she come on her own? And why does she look so much like those creatures? Could it be that they can walk on land? I felt sick. Something's really wrong with me. So that means all of them I saw, and there were at least 3, could be wandering around the village right now. Do we need the police to catch them and drive them away? Maybe she made it to the pit and fell in it because that was her limit. They can't just stay on land forever. Do they only have a limited time? What is even going on? That's him. Someone said behind me. I turned around. 2 men stood a few meters away from me. My ears were ringing, so maybe I didn't notice them sneaking up on me. The feeling of joy quickly turned into caution. At first, I wanted to ask them to help me get out. but they looked very hostile, and they smelled terrible, just like near the pit. They were smeared with those dark algae that were scattered throughout the forest. All my instincts were on high alert. Without thinking much, I realized what was going on. "Don't come any closer." I raised a big stick in front of me. They began to approach. "Stay the hell away from me! Don't come any closer!" That didn't stop them. They kept walking toward me, slowly and confidently. My hands started shaking. It was hard to stand with only one working leg. I was speechless. When they got so close, they began to surround me. Is this the end? One of them suddenly lunged at me. The only thing I could do was hit his arm with all my strength. He jumped back and grabbed the painful spot. Meanwhile, the second one attacked me from the other side and knocked me to the ground. We started to struggle. He was clearly stronger than me, and I was almost at my limit. If it hadn't been for that stone he hit his head on, he definitely would have strangled me. The other one started to recover and picked up a stick. I started crawling away, but he was faster. He caught up to me and struck me hard in the leg that had already failed. At that moment, I managed to roll over and started fighting back with my good leg, but it was pointless. He dodged my kick and struck my shoulder hard, then hit me in the chest. It hurt. I curled up and started covering my head with my arm to block the blows. He hit me on the back and the ribs. It was very, very painful, very. Tears filled my eyes with each blow. Something thick and very cold began to move near my hand. Effectively, I tossed it at him. The snake landed right in his boot. While he tried to pull it out, he lost his balance and fell. I seized the moment. There was a stone within reach. What have I done? Rain. Heavy rain. But what have I done? I was sitting under a tree, hugging my knees. Not far from me lay a body. Next to it, another one. It didn't hit me right away. He just hit his head on the rocks. This man might still be alive. He could get up any moment. And what would I do then? It was pure luck that they didn't beat me to death. He could wake up any minute now, and I won't be able to do anything. I still can't feel my leg. My whole body hurts. What was that? Did he move? Or did I imagine it? Seems like for now, he's still laying there. I sat under that tree for a long time. The rain kept getting heavier. I couldn't take my eyes off that man. Maybe I should hide somewhere. In those bushes, for example. There's enough space there, and I can crawl to them. Run? Definitely not an option. I was hungry, beaten, couldn't feel my leg. Wherever I tried to go, he'd wake up so much sooner. I know that I have to do. I already did it once, and I can do it again. But can I? Do I have to? Maybe there's another way. No. I know for sure there's only one option. I don't want him to attack me. Thoughts like that turned my insides upside down. I couldn't breathe for a few minutes. My whole body shook. I wanted to vomit, but there was nothing left. I started coughing violently and collapsed to the ground. Tears filled my eyes again. At the end of his agony, I realized there was simply no other way. Whipping my eyes, I crawled to the nearest body. There were stones near it, with almost no blood left on them due to the rain. Taking one, I began crawling to the second body, and I had no doubts. Now looking back, I'm amazed at how cold-bloodedly I had made the decision. I knew exactly what I was doing, and why I was doing it. A few seconds later, I was by the second man. He was still breathing. Sitting down, I raised the stone high. It seemed like he'd opened his left eye. Do you think I spared him? Do you think such thoughts remained in me? For that first second, I did hesitate. But Sandria, thoughts of her, and of that body that looked so much like her, they defiled her. How can something like that be forgiven? A strike, another strike, and another strike. I struck him far more times than the first man. Lightning flashed somewhere. Thunder rumbled, and I was still hitting his face with the sharp stone, even when there was nowhere left to hit. Strike, and another. All this went on until I heard footsteps nearby. They weren't in my head. Turning my head in that direction, I saw a person. A man about 60 years old. He had a rifle slung over his back, and he had a dead hare in his hand. The rain kept falling. I don't know. I don't know what to write. Where to begin, though this is almost the end. To tell what happened to me, or to the village, I'll probably start with myself, because there's not much to tell. The man wouldn't listen to me. He knocked me out with that butt of his rifle and went to the policeman in the village himself. That day they found 3 corpses in the forest. Next to one of them lay me, covered in blood, holding the murder weapon. To keep me out of prison, they sent me to a psychiatric hospital. I stayed there for about 9 months. Is it even worth telling you this? I would have stayed there even longer if not for my father's efforts. He used all his strength and connections to get me out. At the same time, the police were still working on the case. They evacuated all the villagers living near the sea. Within 2 streets' distance, the village emptied out completely. More and more bodies started appearing in the sea. Even foreign journalists came to witness it. Maybe I wouldn't be talking about this or remembering it now if the same thing hadn't happened again. Despite the guards, the women's bodies started appearing from the sea. Behind the village, in the forest, there was a small banger? That's where they found them all. All the people involved in the kidnappings. Do I need to tell you what the sane men were doing to those bodies? I was acquitted, but at what cost? In Peru and its surroundings, almost everyone knew me and my family. It was in the newspapers, even some international ones. During this time, my father lost absolutely everything he had. With the last of our money, we moved to Sweden, where he died a year later. When I turned 19, my mother also passed away. She had lost her hearing after my father's death. I was left completely alone. No family, no friends, in a foreign country. And a cripple. I still can't properly move my left leg, and I walk with a cane. By the end of the war, I moved to the United States. Why? Many people moved to the US back then. But I didn't do it for a better life. I was running. From Europe, from Europeans, from the war. From our Baltic Sea, so I'd never have to see it again. I settled in Utah, in the center of the country, 20,000 kilometers from my native village. Over time, closer to the age of 50, I began to regret it, to miss Penru, Armor, and even the Baltic Sea. Those creatures from the underwater country, where it always snows. Do you miss me? Do you even know I exist? Do you know that there's probably only one person in the world who knows about you and thinks of you almost every day? And now I'm already 54. I have no family. There's a buddy from my old job, but we see each other once every 2 weeks. I've had relationships in my life, but who would date a cripple with such a deep psychological scars? Near the end of my life, I began remembering one moment I had almost forgotten. The trial, and everything that happened afterward, are erased from my life. A black stain remains there forever. The only thing I recalled was the day they took me from Amor to Penru, the last time I saw my hometown. Unfortunately, in shackles. From the small window of the prison wagon, I saw my friend, Terev. My only living friend. I couldn't see his face well, but it was definitely him. When the wagon started moving, Terev ran after it. He ran almost all the way to the edge of the village until the police stopped him. He stayed there all alone, without me, Sandria, or Erwin. Alone on the shore of the White Sea in the village of Amur. Is he alive? What happened to him? From the newspapers, I learned that the village no longer exists, destroyed in bombings during the Second World War. But Trev, my only best friend, Trev, you must have had some relatives left, children, grandchildren. There must be somewhere behind that iron Soviet wall. Terev, friend, find me. Find me, Terev, please. I can't anymore. I can't. The end.